First, Eran Hafner is a 18 years experienced, seasoned business coach who does not take no for an answer when it comes to his client's success. Absolutely does not even consider failure of his clients as an option. He's one of the most forceful and yet connected and warm-hearted coaches I have ever seen in terms of business and in terms of life coaching as well. And I'm going to learn from him. He's spent about the same time coaching as I've spent being an attorney.
NLP is first of all an attitude of curiosity, an attitude of learning, an attitude of be better version of yourself, an attitude of excellence. And unfortunately, not too many people in the world share this attitude. How we form rules in our life, in our mind. Because when we were in Las Vegas in the training, you pointed out a sentence that I was keep saying about different things that I would like to learn.
Yes.
And I was saying, I must own this skill.
I must
own this skill.
Yes, and it wasn't even what you were saying. It's also how you were saying it, because there was the complete clarity.
Do you love yourself enough?
Oh yes.
In order to do whatever it takes to get what you want.
Absolutely.
And if there's no congruency in the answer, then the answer is no. What you want and what you dream, it's about what you're willing to sacrifice, in order to reach your goal.
Mm-hmm. So NLP is basically a tool which will help you succeed in any area of life that you decide.
For example, the first presupposition is always respect the other person model of the world.
That's a key one. That's a real big one.
And it's not the meaning of the communication. It's the communication of the meaning that is important.
Yeah.
And that's funny enough, because most of the people that you talk to don't know what they want. They know very good what they don't want. They know very good what they're afraid of. And they find it very hard to talk about what they really want. Most people didn't even stop to think about what they really want and what's important for them in their life. They're not even aware of their own values. So NLP is to open your mind. When you start to learn NLP, you start actually to ask better question, I think. And you start to question everything around you, how it makes whatever it is better. Because the entire thinking become positive. And once you start to implement it and apply it in your own life, it just becomes a way of thinking. Just like people think bad all the time, there are people that think good all the time and positive all the time. And not all of them knows NLP, because NLP, it's not invented the wheel, it's just modeling successful people in order to be able to teach everybody how to be more successful in whatever they choose. It can be in a sport, it can be as a lawyer, it can be as whatever it is.
The idea of, he says, most therapy, and most times you go to any kind of therapist, they're so obsessed with trying to figure out what got you so messed up in the first place. Let's go back into your past, let's go into your childhood, let's figure out who planted the seeds of your current destruction. That's the sort of the method. And
what's wrong with you?
And then let's talk about it.
And then let's talk about it. How do you feel about that, right?
And they just bury you in the experience all over again and again and again until the hour is over.
Right down there, and then you leave the set. I don't know if you've ever been to a therapist, but I have. I went like 12 years, right? I would eventually start taking a box of tissues for the guy to cry, because he was, and he told me, why are you bringing a box of tissues? You expect to cry this time? I said, no, this is for you, because you've been doing this for 12 years on me, and you've been completely useless. No. So you can cry about your, you were going to say something brilliant, because I could see that glimmer in your eye.
This is exactly what we said
Not
earlier.
missing, exactly.
And this is exactly what we said earlier about the programs of the mind, because that's exactly one of the main programs of the mind that people don't know how to use. They use it in negative, however it does not produce results in negativity. And still they keep using it that way. Why? that's what they learn. That's how they were trained. That's how the school teaches us. That's how the society teaches us. So you really need to step out of the box in order to recognize, how you really talk to yourself first, and then of course, how do you talk to others, and how productive your language is.
Good at that.
So I refer to that as we have two genies, one of the right shoulder and one of the left shoulder. The one of the right shoulder always tell us, yes, you can, go for it, you are smart, you are this. And the other one tell us exactly the opposite. Don't do it, it's too dangerous, it's not for you, you're gonna fail, everybody's gonna laugh at you, and give you all the reasoning, and really good one. He plays on your emotions, all the good ones in order for you not to do what you wanted to do with the other genie. And unfortunately, most people listen to the negative one, and that's
got a voice that just keeps going on.
and that's because people, funny enough, will do twice as much effort to avoid pain than they will do in order to gain pleasure.
Oh, yeah. It's ironic, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
I was.
Make it as difficult as it is as you want it to be difficult.
That's the key word.
And that's the sentence that is on my wall. The hardest thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. And this was said by Amelia Earhart. She knows what she's talking about.
I think so. That's right.
Absolutely right. And I think that for me, the biggest thing that NLP did for me in my life, it introduced me to my best friend that I didn't know exists, which is my unconscious mind. And that by itself is a huge change. Because until then I was operating only 10% of my capacity, and if at all, and now I can do way more. So thank you for that. And when they will learn, that's a great point, and when they will learn that in negotiation and in litigation, you first look not for the disagreement, but for the common ground, and then chunk up from there for the intention of coming to the litigation, then it will be much easier for the client as well as for the lawyers, to come in an agreement that everybody can live with. Because in the end of the day, nobody is happy 100% with any agreement, Well, if you get to an agreement that all the sides can live good with it, then that's a win-win situation, isn't it? And it's not about fighting. It's about finding common ground.
Say that NLP gives you a real power that you can use to change your life, and you have this opportunity in every moment of your life to change it, but most of people choose not to. This training helps you see things differently and find solutions easier. You can see the world differently.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And when you see things differently,
then things are different.
then the things you see.
Things are different.
When you change the way you see things, the things you see change. Yes.
You want.
And that gives us as trainers to give this knowledge and opportunities, to the mass people, which they were not exposed to that before. And if that, I always tell to everybody that come to my training, if you will only take one thing from this training, take the cause and effect.
Absolutely.
Take the cause and effect.
Yes.
Just be at cause for your life, and everything else will follow. Because once you are the effect, you just give away the power of change and the power on your life. You just hand it to somebody else.
That is so true.
This is